They've been studying you, tracking patterns, analyzing data, and what they found. A bloodline so rare, so genetically wired for greatness, that the system doesn't have a category for what you're capable of becoming. They're shook because you're unclassifiable. Let me break down what's really happening here. While everyone's obsessing over their ancestry DNA results, trying to find out if they're 2% Viking or 15% royalty, there's a different kind of bloodline running through your veins. And it's got nothing to do with your great-great-grandfather's last name. This is about the lineage of resilience, the DNA of those who refused to break when the world applied maximum pressure. You think I'm talking metaphorically. I'm dead serious. Scientists are now discovering that trauma, triumph, survival, breakthrough moments, they literally alter your genetic expression. Epigenetics proved that what your ancestors overcame gets encoded into your biological blueprint. But here's where it gets wild. You're not just carrying forward their strength. You're creating nubby genetic markers right now. Every time you push through when quitting was easier. Every morning you choose discipline over comfort. Every moment you transmute pain into power, you're literally rewriting your biological code in real time. The system, call it society, call it the matrix, call it whatever you want, it's designed to identify threats, and you're registering as a Category 5 threat to mediocrity. That's why the resistance feels so intense sometimes. That's why the obstacles seem to multiply right when you're on the verge of breakthrough. You've felt it, haven't you? That moment when you decided to actually go for it, to build that business, write that book, transform that body, master that skill, and suddenly everything went sideways. Your car broke down, relationships got complicated, unexpected bills appeared, health issues flared up, and everyone around you started questioning your decisions. Here's what they don't tell you. That's the universe's quality control. It's not stopping you. It's testing if you're serious. Because the bloodline you carry, this untouchable lineage of breakthrough artists, of pattern disruptors, of people who refuse to accept the default settings of existence, it demands proof of commitment. Think about it. Your ancestors didn't survive famines, wars, plagues, persecution, migration, and impossible odds just so you could scroll through life on autopilot. The fact that you exist at all means you come from an unbroken chain of survivors who faced annihilation and said, "Not today." That's in your cells, that's in your nervous system, that's encoded in every strand of your DNA. But survival isn't the end game anymore. They survived so you could thrive. They endured so you could express. They fought so you could create. And what are most people doing with this inherited wealth of resilience? Wasting it on comfort. Trading their limitless potential for a predictable paycheck and weekend escapism. Not you, though. Something's different about you. You feel it. That restlessness, that knowing that you're built for more, that awareness that settling would be a betrayal of everyone who came before you and everyone who comes after. The CIA, the alphabet agencies, the systems of control, they're not actually scared of your physical capabilities. They're terrified of what happens when someone with your bloodline wakes up. When you realize that the same survival instincts that kept your lineage alive can be redirected toward domination of your field. When you understand that the resilience in your DNA can be weaponized as unstoppable persistence. Here's the truth they don't want spreading. You don't need permission. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need more time, more money, more connections, or more credentials. What you need is already inside you. It's been there your entire life, waiting, dormant, like a special forces operative deep undercover, just waiting for the activation sequence. And that activation sequence, it's simpler than you think. It's the decision to stop negotiating with your potential. It's the choice to honor your bloodline by becoming the version of yourself that they would be proud of. It's the commitment to stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You come from people who crossed oceans with nothing but hope, who built empires from dirt, Who turned oppression into opportunity? Who alchemized every no into fuel? That's not romantic history, that's your operational manual. Every single limitation you're accepting right now, it's an insult to your lineage. Every excuse you're making, it's a betrayal of your bloodline. Every day you spend in comfort zone hibernation, you're letting the most powerful DNA on the planet collect dust. But here's where it gets interesting. The moment you decide to actually activate this, the moment you commit to being the breakthrough point in your family tree, everything changes, not overnight, not magically, but systematically, irreversibly, exponentially. Your bloodline has been preparing you for this exact moment. Every hardship you've faced, training, every betrayal, education, every failure, calibration, every loss, refinement. You're not broken. You're not cursed. You're being forged into something that doesn't exist yet. A version of human potential that makes the current version of you look like a rough draft. The systems of power study bloodlines because they know something most people forget. Legacy is built by those who refuse to let their lineage end in mediocrity. They track the ones who carry that spark of defiance, that genetic marker of, I will find a way or create one. That DNA signature of obstacles are not stop signs, they're guidance systems pointing me toward my unique path. You think you're just trying to build a better life. You're actually continuing a multi-generational project of evolution. You think you're just trying to hit your goals. You're actually honoring a sacred contract with everyone who suffered so you could have this chance. And the beautiful part? You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to get it right the first time. You don't have to have it all figured out. Your bloodline doesn't demand perfection. It demands persistence. It asks for one thing. Don't quit on the dream. Don't surrender to the mediocrity that claimed so many others. Look at your life right now. Really look at it. Every skill you've acquired, every obstacle you've overcome, every time you got back up when staying down was easier. That's not luck. That's not coincidence. That's your bloodline expressing itself through you. That's your genetic inheritance activating in real time. And now you're at a choice point. You can keep pretending you're ordinary, keep blending in, keep playing small to make others comfortable, keep denying the power that runs through you. Or you can claim it, own it, weaponize it for good. Because here's what happens when someone with your bloodline stops apologizing for their ambition. They become unstoppable, not because they're superhuman, but because they align their daily actions with their genetic destiny. They stop fighting who they are and start leveraging it. Every morning becomes an opportunity to honor your lineage. Every challenge becomes a chance to prove the bloodline continues. Every setback becomes evidence that you're being tested for greatness, not punished for weakness. The resistance you're feeling? That's not the universe telling you to stop. That's the universe asking, are you sure? Because once you cross this threshold, once you fully activate the potential in your DNA, there's no going back to sleep. You can't unknow what you're capable of. You can't unsee the path forward. And yes, it's going to be hard. The worthwhile things always are. But you weren't born from a lineage of people who chose easy. You descend from the ones who chose necessary, who did what had to be done, regardless of difficulty. That's why when you're lying in bed at 5 a.m. and that alarm goes off, you get up. Not because you feel like it, because your bloodline demands it. When you're facing a decision between comfort and growth, you choose growth. Not because it's pleasant, because mediocrity would be a generational betrayal. When someone doubts you, dismisses you, underestimates you, you smile, because they're judging you based on where you are, not understanding the bloodline you carry. They see your current chapter. You know your genetic destiny. The CIA, the systems, the powers that be, they stay shook because they can't control what they can't predict. And your bloodline, it's produced survivors, innovators, revolutionaries, builders, and breakthrough artists for generations. It's coded for adaptability, for resilience, for finding ways where none exist. You're not just fighting for yourself, you're fighting for every ancestor who didn't get this opportunity. You're fighting for every descendant who needs to see what's possible. You're the breakthrough point, the one who transforms the entire trajectory. So stop asking for permission. Stop waiting for perfect timing. Stop looking for external validation. Your bloodline doesn't need any of that. It needs action. It needs commitment. It needs you to finally become who you've always been genetically encoded to be. The world doesn't need another person playing safe. It needs you unleashed, fully activated, operating at the level your DNA has been preparing you for your entire life. This isn't motivation. This is recognition. I'm not trying to pump you up. I'm trying to wake you up to what's already inside you, to what's been there all along, to the untouchable, unbreakable, unstoppable force that exists in your genetic code. They're shook because they finally realized you can't be stopped. You can only be delayed. And every delay just makes you stronger. Every obstacle just activates more of your potential. Every no just redirects you to a better yes. Your bloodline has survived everything. Literally everything. And now it's your turn to not just survive, but to absolutely dominate. To take all that inherited resilience and transform it into unprecedented achievement. Let me tell you something else about your genetic code that'll blow your mind. Right now, as you're reading this, listening to this, your body is making millions of decisions per second. Your heart is beating. Your lungs are breathing. Your cells are regenerating. And you're not consciously controlling any of it. That's your bloodline's autonomic intelligence running in the background. That same intelligence that keeps you alive without conscious effort. It's the same intelligence that's trying to push you toward your potential. That restless feeling you get when you're not living up to your capabilities, that's not anxiety, that's your DNA sending you signals. It's your genetic code saying, we didn't survive this long for you to waste this opportunity. Your nervous system carries the memory of every triumph your lineage ever experienced. Science calls it transgenerational epigenetic inheritance. I call it genetic wisdom. When you face a challenge and somehow find the strength you didn't know you had, that's not you digging deep. That's you accessing the database. You're tapping into centuries of problem-solving, crisis navigation, and breakthrough moments. Think about the greatest challenge you've ever faced. The one that should have broken you. The one everyone thought would destroy you. Remember how you found a way through. That wasn't random. That was your bloodline activating its survival protocols. The same protocols that helped your ancestors survive plagues, famines, wars, and persecution. But here's what most people miss. Those protocols don't just activate during survival mode. They're always available. You can access that same strength, that same resourcefulness, that same unstoppable determination right now. Not when life forces you to, but by choice. That's the difference between someone who's bloodline activated and someone who's sleepwalking through life. The sleepwalkers wait until crisis forces them to tap into their power. The activated ones, they make the conscious decision to operate at that level every single day. And when you make that choice, when you decide to honor your genetic inheritance by being excellent on purpose, the whole game changes. Your energy shifts. Your presence transforms. People start sensing something different about you. They can't quite put their finger on it, but they feel it. That's your bloodline radiating through your actions. That's your genetic power becoming visible in how you move, how you speak, how you carry yourself, how you make decisions. It's not arrogance, it's not ego, it's alignment. It's you finally syncing up with who you were always meant to be. The systems that track human potential, they've got algorithms for normal. They can predict and manipulate people who operate within standard parameters. But someone who's fully activated their genetic inheritance, someone who's tapped into centuries of accumulated wisdom and resilience, that person becomes you untrackable. unpredictable, uncontrollable. That's why they're shook. Not because you're doing anything illegal or harmful, but because you're operating outside the matrix of mediocrity. You're proving that the limitations they convinced everyone to accept, they're optional. And when one person breaks through, others start questioning their own limits. You become living proof that the boundaries are negotiable, that the ceilings are breakable, that the impossible is just a challenge waiting for someone with the right bloodline to accept it. Now let's talk about what happens when you actively engage with this power. When you stop just surviving and start strategically deploying your genetic advantages. Because understanding you have this power is step one. Weaponizing it for your goals? That's level two. Your bloodline gave you pattern recognition abilities that took generations to develop. Your ancestors had to quickly identify threats, opportunities, weather patterns, social dynamics, resource locations. That ability is in you. When you walk into a room and instantly read the energy, that's not magic, that's inherited pattern recognition. When you get a gut feeling about a decision and later find out you were right, that's not luck, that's your genetic database running probability calculations based on millions of similar scenarios your lineage encountered. Your intuition is literally your ancestors' accumulated experience speaking to you, but most people ignore it. They override their instincts with logic that was programmed by a system designed to keep them compliant. They second-guess their gut because someone with a degree told them to ignore their internal wisdom. Not anymore. You're done doubting the intelligence encoded in your cells. You're done letting external voices override internal knowing. Your bloodline didn't survive this long by ignoring red flags and opportunity signals. Why would you? Here's another genetic superpower you're not using. Adaptive resilience. Your DNA has encoded the experience of every pivot your ancestors ever made, every time they had to completely reinvent themselves to survive, every time they had to learn a new skill, adapt to a new environment, or overcome a catastrophic loss. That adaptability is yours, right now. Which means when your industry changes, when your relationship ends, when your plan falls apart, when the unexpected happens, you're genetically designed to adapt and overcome. Not eventually, not after you finish crying about it, but relatively quickly because your cells have done this dance before. The problem is, most people suppress this natural adaptability by clinging to comfort and certainty. They'd rather stay in a known hell than risk an unknown heaven. They betray their bloodline's adaptive genius by choosing safety over growth. But you're different. You know you're built for change. You know that your greatest growth happens during chaos. You know that uncertainty isn't your enemy, it's your playground. Because your bloodline thrived during uncertainty. They made their greatest breakthroughs when the old way stopped working and they had to innovate. You've got innovation in your DNA. Literally, the same creative problem solving that allowed your ancestors to turn rocks into tools, to harness fire, to build shelter, to create agriculture, to develop communication, that creative intelligence is actively running in your brain right now. Every time you come up with a solution nobody else saw. That's not you being smart. That's your bloodline expressing its evolutionary advantage. Every time you see an opportunity where others see obstacles, that's centuries of opportunistic thinking flowing through your neural pathways. And here's what the systems of control really fear. When someone with your genetic profile stops playing by their rules and starts making their own. When you realize that the game they want you to play is rigged, so you create a NIDEBU game with NUBU rules where your bloodline's advantages become dominant. They want you competing in arenas where your natural gifts are suppressed. They want you trading time for money in structures that cap your potential. They want you seeking approval from gatekeepers who benefit from keeping you small. Your bloodline says otherwise. Your genetic code is screaming at you to build your own arena, to create your own economy, to establish your own metrics of success, to stop asking for seats at tables that weren't designed for people like you, and instead build your own table. Because here's the truth. Your ancestors didn't ask for permission to survive. They didn't wait for ideal conditions to thrive. They didn't seek approval to innovate. They saw what needed to happen, and they made it happen. With whatever resources they had, against whatever odds they faced, that same make it happen energy is encoded in every cell of your body. The question is, are you going to activate it or suppress it? Are you going to honor it or ignore it? Are you going to weaponize it for your dreams or waste it on comfort? Let me paint you a picture of what full activation looks like. Imagine waking up every morning with the clarity of purpose that comes from knowing you're fulfilling your genetic destiny. Imagine moving through your day with the confidence that comes from accessing centuries of accumulated wisdom. Imagine facing obstacles with the calm assurance that your bloodline has overcome worse. That's not fantasy. That's available to you right now. Not someday when you're more ready. Not after you get more experience. Not when conditions are perfect. Right now, today, this moment. Because your bloodline doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't validate your fears. It doesn't accept your limitations. Your genetic code is binary. Either you're growing or you're shrinking. Either you're honoring the inheritance or you're wasting it. And every day, you choose comfort over growth. Every day you choose safety over significance. Every day you choose fitting in over standing out. You're sending a signal to your DNA that says we're done evolving. We're done breaking through. We're done becoming. But that signal is reversible. One decision changes everything. One commitment rewrites the code. One moment of clarity can activate dormant potential that's been waiting your entire life to express itself. You know what that moment looks like? It's when you stop asking, what if I fail? And start asking, what if I succeed beyond my wildest imagination? It's when you stop worrying about what people will think and start obsessing over what you're capable of creating. It's when you stop managing risks and start maximizing opportunities. That shift in questioning, that's your bloodline breaking through the conditioning. That's your genetic inheritance overriding the programming. That's the real you emerging from underneath the layers of socialization and conformity. And when that emergence happens, when you finally align with your genetic truth, the universe reorganizes itself around your new frequency. I'm not being mystical, I'm being literal. Your energy changes, your decisions change, your actions change, and reality responds to the new you. Opportunities that were invisible suddenly appear. People who can help mysteriously show up. Resources you needed somehow become available. Obstacles that seemed insurmountable suddenly have obvious solutions. It's not luck. It's not coincidence. It's alignment. When you're operating in harmony with your bloodline's purpose, you tap into a flow state that most people never experience. You become magnetic to the exact people, information, and circumstances you need for your next breakthrough. The systems that study this phenomenon call it synchronicity, or manifestation, or the law of attraction. But it's simpler than that. When you become who you're genetically designed to be, reality stops resisting you and starts supporting you. Your bloodline has been trying to activate this alignment your entire life. Every nudge towards something different, every dissatisfaction with the status quo, every moment you felt called to more, that's not you being ungrateful or greedy. That's your DNA trying to express its full potential through you. And you've been fighting it, suppressing it, convincing yourself to be realistic, to be practical, to be sensible. Listening to people who settled tell you to settle. Taking advice from people who quit on their dreams about why you should quit on yours. But something's changing now, isn't it? You're reading this and something's clicking. A door is opening. A light is turning on. You're starting to remember what you've always known but forgot. You're not ordinary. You weren't designed for ordinary. You come from extraordinary. Your bloodline survived ice ages, crossed continents, endured enslavement, escaped persecution, overcame disease, rebuilt after destruction, and kept going when stopping would have been easier. And they did all of that so you could have this moment, this choice, this opportunity to be the one who doesn't just survive but dominates. So what's it going to be? You going to keep playing small? Keep telling yourself comfortable lies about why you can't? Keep betraying the genetic gift you've been given? Or are you ready to finally become dangerous in your field? To become unstoppable in your pursuit? To become legendary in your impact? Because that's what full bloodline activation looks like. It's not about being better than others. It's about being excellent for the sake of honoring what you carry. It's about taking the genetic inheritance you've been given and multiplying it, expanding it, expressing it in ways that make your ancestors proud and your descendants inspired. This is your moment. This is your activation sequence. This is the universe, your bloodline, your genetic code, your highest self, all converging to ask you one question. Are you ready to stop betraying your potential and start becoming it? The bloodline doesn't break, it breaks through. Now the question is, are you going to be the generation that plays small or the one that goes legendary?